Hi there, this is Solitary Rowan from Solitary Rowan Films, and welcome to another double take. Today I'm going to be discussing Funky Forest from 2005 and Warped Forest, its sequel from 2011. This is a relatively new release by Third Window. Slipcover, and that's the artwork for Warped Forest. And you get both films on separate discs, and that's the Funky Forest First Contact artwork. You get director commentaries, you get makings of. It's a really nice release from Third Window. Now these two films are completely barking, even for Japanese standards. The first one is directed by Katsuhito Ishii. I still haven't seen any of his other films. Shunichiro Miki, who directed the sequel Warped Forest, and Hajime Anike Ishimaini. The first film stars Tanabu Asano and Shishumi Terajima, who will be familiar faces to anybody who's a regular watcher of Japanese films of the 90s and 2000s. I'm not going to go into plot of these two films because there isn't really one. It's about aliens and 21 random episodes. There's recurring characters. There's three saleswomen who go to a hot spa and have various adventures. There's the three unlucky brothers, which is Asano, Terajima, and this white kid who struggles to speak Japanese. They're all brothers, and they're unlucky in love and trying to... Well, Asano's character is trying to write love songs on his guitar. And there is just random 21 episodes. There's kind of bookends with two comedy characters who, quite frankly, aren't very funny, but it might be absolutely hilarious in Japanese, and they may be famous in Japanese. I think a lot of the stuff in these two films probably goes over a Western audience's viewer's head, unless they are aware of the history of Funky Forest and Warped Forest. The first film is 150 minutes, it's 2.5 hours, and it's way too long. The second half is better than the first half, I would say. The sequel, which never made it to cinemas, I actually prefer because it's only 82 minutes. It's still a bit out there, but it's more... has a bit more of a structure to it. The first half of the first film especially is just completely random. There's periods where there'll be like one word spoken and then it'll go to a black screen and it'll come back, another word spoken, black screen. So I think if you have epilepsy, that's probably not good for you watching the first film. There's animation, there is musical interludes, there are dance interludes. The directors talk about how they wanted to confuse people, to confuse the audience, and it really works. Personally, I did get rather frustrated with the first film. Again, the second half, it does pick up, because I think the second half we are introduced to more strange Creatures by Shunichiro Miike, who does the second film, who directed the second film, and he's more into the strange creatures, and there's lots of kind of tentacles going into orifices. There's lots of fluid and bodily liquids, and there's lots of oozing. The creature design is very similar to the creature design in Cronenberg's Naked Lunch. There's a lot of Naked Lunch imagery, whether that's coincidence or whether that was an influence, but certainly, especially in Warped Forest, the sequel, there's a lot of Naked Lunch type creatures. There's lots of secretions. At one point, Asano, who's a part-time teacher, is teaching this girl what we think is like badminton, but is actually a man with really long nipples sitting on a chair, and what looks like a sack drops down from his posterior, which Asano squeezes, and the man squeezes nipples, and various coloured liquids come out, and the girl is hitting them as though she would be hitting a shuttlecock or a tennis ball. Again, I'm not going to explain what's going on, because I can't really explain what's going on. At one point in the second half of the first film, there is a character who does say she doesn't have the foggiest of what's going on, which, as an audience, I share in that sentiment. Again, you're not supposed to. You're just supposed to go with it. There's dream sequences, some of which are quite fantastic, some of which are really annoying. There's dream sequences within dream sequences that last for like half an hour, and then you've actually forgotten it's a dream sequence until you come out of the dream sequence. To say that these two films are a mixed bag, I think by their very design, they are hit and miss. I would find it hard to believe that somebody absolutely loves the first film and every single part of it. Because like I say, for 2.5 hours, it's just way too long. For me, it could have easily lost at least half an hour, if not more than that. Like I say, the two characters who may be aliens, or the two kind of comedy characters, one played by Shunichiro Miike, one of the directors himself. Again, I think they're meant to be hilarious, but again, it just doesn't translate for me. Again, I'm fully aware of the fact that I'm probably missing a lot of context, but from a sheer visual standpoint, the film is very interesting, especially the Warped Forest. There's lots of really interesting creature design. They kind of went for that erotic grotesqueness. So there's lots of sucking on things, and there's lots of, like I say, entrance into orifices and secretions. The second film, which kind of features three male friends who go to a hot spring and realise they've been missing for a couple of days. They don't feel as though they've been missing for a couple of days. There's three teenage boys that have been missing, but they don't realise they've been missing. They get transported to a strange forest. And we follow their kinks and their interactions with their spouses. There's giants. Again, for no real reason. Again, I'm fully aware that I'm missing lots of cultural references and context. But these films are completely barking. Even for the Japanese, these are pretty far out there. But like I say, the second film, which is only 82 minutes, a bit more focused. I was going to say much more focused, but a bit more focused. And the creature design in the second one is really good, because I think that's what Mickey, that was his wheelhouse. So we kind of got that in the second half of the film, of the first film, sorry, of Funky Forest. But in Warped Forest, he just gets to go wild with his creature designs. You know, there's two wee kind of men slash crustaceans who have these smiling little faces, but they have this hair out of their nostrils and they pry them apart. There's these kind of strange vaginal fruit that people are sucking on and licking. There's this kind of padded white cell where one of the men goes to get pleasure from this kind of hairy thing which attaches to the nipples. There's a lot of visual invention in the two films. There's a lot going on, but for me the first one's just way too long. There's just a lot of stuff that I just found annoying, whereas the second one, while not being perfect, I think was a lot more enjoyable, maybe because it is a bit focused and it is more creature heavy, which is quite wonderful. So again, that's a fairly rambling review of these two films. Again, I can't explain what's going on. I doubt the filmmakers can really explain what's going on. The making of documentaries are really fun. Everybody seems to be having a good time. And again, you get commentaries by all the directors, which I haven't listened to yet. But certainly the Shinichiro Miki interview tells a lot, as far as he wanted that mix of erotic and grotesque in the creature design. He wanted to confuse the audience. And I would say these two films succeed in what the filmmakers were trying to do. Whether you like them or not is a completely different story. This isn't necessarily a recommendation to go out and watch these two films. But if you're interested in creature design, I would certainly pick this up, because there's really lots of imagination. I haven't picked too many images that give away creature design. A lot of it is seeing to be believed. There is a wonderful dance sequence in Funky Forest on the beach, which is fairly bizarre, as is most of the film. But they're well worth a look, but you have to probably not care about narrative or things making sense or trying to understand what the hell's going on. You just have to kind of go with them. And there is some enjoyment to be had, no doubt, with Funky Forest. But as I said, I kind of preferred Warped Forest, even though that's the one that never got a cinematic release. And this is pretty much the first time that it's seen the light of day outside the occasional festival. So both very strange films, well worth a look if you're in the right mood. So that's Funky Forest and Warped Forest. Again, I can't really explain any of it, but please let me know in the comments below if you've seen either of these films and what you think about them. And again, like I say, I apologise because I'm probably missing the background and the cultural context and a lot of stuff. And some stuff just goes over your head. But again, as the filmmakers said, they kind of wanted to confuse people. Mission accomplished. So thanks very much for watching. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, fairly bemused, saying farewell.